So Vietnam itself then, apologies for that map because you won't be able to see it very well from where you are. But Hanoi is up in the north, Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon as it used to be in the south. The flavour of this expedition is very much a journey approach. It's from north to south. In effect, you fly into Hanoi and you'll fly out of Ho Chi Minh. How and what nature of things you do on that route down there is entirely down to the girls. Of course, we have a menu of options, and of course, we, True Adventure and Tudor Hall, want them to get the absolute most out of that trip to Vietnam, that expedition feeling. But we want them to decide on what they want to do. And there are numerous things that they can achieve through there, from adventure through to culture and so on and so forth. There's all sorts of things that can be achieved. The great thing about Vietnam, the absolutely best thing about Vietnam, without any shadow of a doubt, is the Reunification Railway, which lends itself entirely to this journey approach. 1,500 kilometres of land mass, north to south, Reunification Railway, swerving in and out of the coastline into the jungle, back to the coastline, in and out, in and out. It's a great way to experience this kind of physical journey as well as the kind of personal journey that the girls will be going on. And they might decide to stop 3 or 4 times as they move south, doing the project, going on a trek. Maybe some more trekking, maybe some beach stuff, maybe some cultural stuff in Mae Song, in the ruins of Mae Song, and various other options as well. Of course, Vietnam still has the north and south flavour to it. It's still got the DMZ as it used to be. North Vietnam is very sort of French colonial. South Vietnam is still very Western influenced, and the Saigon side of things is still very much evident. So if there is any interest in the Vietnam War and so on via the curriculum, which sometimes it can be, it's a great way of kind of learning about that and seeing the influence of war, dare I say, on a country that has now come right the way through that and developed themselves into exactly where they want to be, and a very successful and robust country it is too. So as I say, it's one journey, 4 phases, generally 4 phases, and quite when you do 3 of these 4 phases, it's entirely down to the team. Obviously then the acclimatisation phase, of which there is normally 2 or 3 days, is generally done at the point of entry, and that's in this case Hanoi. And you'll spend a number of days in Hanoi just collecting and gathering your thoughts and just relaxing and absorbing the culture, absorbing the heat and humidity, and getting used to the environment that you're going to be operating in. And it's a really key part of managing the expectations of the girls as they arrive in country. What we don't want to do is to arrive in Hanoi, bound straight out of Hanoi, straight onto a trek, because you're not absorbing the culture, you're not absorbing things, and you're just taking your time. We've got 3 weeks in country, it's plenty of time just to relax ourselves into it, get ourselves sorted, gather our thoughts, and then move forward onto the next phase. And that then allows us to learn more about the country and learn more about ourselves as a team as we start to gel, form, and perform, and so on. We've then got a trekking phase, and the trekking phase, project phase, we can switch, of course, depending on the nature and depending on where the girls decide to go. And again, we'll talk in a bit more detail about the trekking in a little while. We've got then the project phase, and as I say, those can be changed and turned around. And then we have the R&R phase. Spoke about the acclimatisation. It's long flight, the heat, the humidity, the nature of the place, absolutely completely different. You fly out of Heathrow 14 or 15 hours previously, you arrive in Hanoi, utterly different, utterly different. And that acclimatisation phase is really important. So the trekking then. The difficulty and the nature of the trek is entirely down to the girls. We've got areas in Vietnam where you can trek for 14 days and not see another individual. That's quite harsh trekking, of course, and it's a bit of an undertaking and takes some thought. But we equally have areas that you can do 2 and 3 days, community walks, community trekking. The great thing about Vietnam is that the vast majority of the treks are done at homestays. And when I say homestays, they're collective, so all the team will stay in one particular home. They're designed that way to allow people to stay in various bunk-style accommodation, I say, in the homestay. So it's not necessarily camping as such, although some areas potentially could be camping. Some areas may even be wild jungle camps, where you're sleeping on stretcher beds and hammocks and things in the jungle. But that's again down to the girls to design that itinerary to see what they want from the actual trek itself. But very much it's down to the team to decide on what they want, and that's what's key throughout. A project, and again, the project is absolutely one of the major key parts of this expedition. It's what we really truly believe in at True Adventure. must be sustainable, certainly inspiring, and always rewarding, and that's what it must be. Some of the projects that we're involved in North Vietnam, for example, in Mau Chai province, about 150 km west of Hanoi, working with an NGO in North Vietnam, building brick ovens in very remote villages. It's a 5-year sustainable rolling project that we've got going. We've built about 240 of them so far in various villages and so on, villages sort of with 20 or 30 houses. And the great thing about that is that the ovens that we're building are a couple of $100 each, and the ovens that we're building are, they burn wood 70% more efficient and more effective than burning wood than open fires, for example. Which means, of course, they need less wood to burn on the fire because, of course, it's 70% more efficient, which means less deforestation. An offshoot from that as well, which we've recently found and looked at in some depth, is that a lot of the villages prior to them having brick ovens were having chest infections and also some smoke inhalation. So we build a flue with the brick oven, takes the smoke straight out of the house, and Bob's your uncle, chest infections start to drift away. That's a beautiful sustainable project that we've got going there, and it's probably going to take us about 5 years, somewhere in the summer, to finish that. So we're quite proud of that particular project. And it may be something that the girls would want to get involved in, let's hope so. The rest of relaxation, really generally speaking, conceptually should be at the end, but with Vietnam that's slightly different, particularly going from north to south. There's many different things you can do on the way. The R&R generally takes up, as I say, about 2 days, and you can kind of plug it in where you see fit, particularly in Vietnam. Now from ruins, of course, places like that needs to be visited, an absolute must. Halong Bay, one of the great natural wonders of the world, the sort of Thousand Islands, the limestone cliffs coming out to the sea, an absolute must, and that's about an hour and a half away from Hanoi, and is definitely worth a day's visit, and absolutely, and I would advise anyone to go and see that. And of course you've got many beaches running north to south, and Da Nang, for example, that's just south of Da Nang, that particular beach, famed for the, I still can't remember the name of the film.
No, I wished.
It's gone, Flight of the, what's the name of the film? Vietnam War film.
Apocalypse Now, isn't it?
Pardon?
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now, made famous by Apocalypse Now. That's what it's made famous for, thank you. So as I say, and that's Mau Chai province, by the way. That's, I took that photo a couple of years ago, and that's the area that they will be doing the NGO project for the brick ovens. And that's a true picture of Mau Chai. That's not manufactured in any way or recoloured in any way. That's an actual true picture taken at all. So the development programme throughout the next 18 or 20 months or so is key to the whole thing, of course, because it's about expectations and managing the girls' expectations, so that when they go on expedition, when they actually fly out to Hanoi, they know exactly what to expect and what is required in terms of their own input into the expedition and the success of the expedition. So we'll develop the fundraising skills, and throughout we plan the expedition and learn about the country and the environment, and of course we prepare the team to go on expedition itself by a training weekend. And I'll talk a bit more about the training weekend shortly. Just as a brief mention, what the cost doesn't include, quite important of course themselves, visas and vaccinations, the personal kits and equipment. Very difficult, impossible almost, for me to put a cost on that. If the girls have done DV, or indeed into the outdoor in any way, shape or form, probably for Vietnam they've got pretty much all they need. Obviously they're not going to need big down jackets, big down sleeping bags, and like some of our Himalaya trips, but certainly sort of trekking boots, lightweight trekking boots, that kind of thing, maybe a rucksack, and waterproofs and that sort of stuff. So chances are, if you've been involved in DV and so forth, you've probably got all you need. Visas and vaccinations, the visa is $50 currently for Vietnam. And vaccinations, again, depends on what you've had already in terms of your own personal travel and so on. Spending money, approximately $150, and that's just simply for gifts and the like, and niceties as you want to buy and so on as you move through that journey north to south. Everything else, of course, is provided.